Yes, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. I hope you're all keeping wonderfully well. Back again, of course, with another video for this channel, and today we will be looking at the latest news and developments in the GAA, and of course, obviously, responding to the news that obviously the GAA released over the weekend, where of course they laid out their plans for both the football and hurling championships. Obviously there was a draw that took place for both the Leinster and Munster senior hurling championships. There was also a lot of dates that were put in place in regards to both the football and hurling championship, in regards to when certain finals are going to take place, when certain Leinster finals, Munster finals, and of course the All-Ireland football final as well. And of course we'll also be delving into some reaction, of course, to this news. A couple of pundits have responded to this news as well, and we'll see what they think in regards to this, and we'll be seeing some fan opinion in regards to some of these latest news and developments in the GAA as well. Now, of course, obviously this news broke on Friday. I decided to wait a couple of days before making a video because I wanted to see what various people thought of this news and you know, what their reaction was to it. But we'll jump straight into it. Obviously this was a statement that was released on Friday from the GAA. The GAA can today confirm arrangements for its inter-county competitions after the recommendations of CCCC were endorsed. And I mean, that's great news, obviously, because the GAA were certainly working on this for quite a long time, and competition regulations dealing with venues, promotion, relegation and dates for games have yet to be finalised, but will be decided in the coming weeks. The draws for the Christie Ring and Ricard Cup have already been made, of course, and obviously we'll get into the hurling draw in just a moment. In terms of football, so the football championship will revert to the provincial knockout. I think this is something that we obviously very much seen coming. I think everyone kind of very much assumed that the GAA would revert to this. There was a lot of talk of an open draw potentially being brought in. I actually think the GAA might have missed a real trick in not going with the open draw, because I feel like, you know, it was a real chance for the GAA to do something a little bit different. It's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity in many ways. You know, we're going to have the season pretty much decided, the All-Ireland final played like a couple of days before Christmas, so like a real chance for the GAA to try something different, to do an open draw, to experiment and to see what fan opinion would have been. But unfortunately they've decided to revert back to the old format. Now obviously there was a draw that already took place earlier in the year for the provincial championship, so they've decided to stick to that. The only difference will be that there will be no backdoor and it will be a straight provincial knockout. I think another interesting point as well is that there will be no All-Ireland quarter-finals, so each provincial winner will go straight through to the semi-finals. I did think that there would be a quarter-final initially. I thought maybe what they would do is have each provincial winner play a loser in the quarter-finals. I mean, I know in some ways that might not seem fair. I mean, you're winning your provincial final and you're still going through to the same round as the provincial loser, but I just thought it would have been a way to have another game in the GAA season. But they've decided not to opt with that, of course. As we were saying before, no qualifiers, no Tier 1, Tier 2 championship, and yeah, it will be interesting to see obviously the straight knockout format in the GAA. You know, I will release a video kind of coming closer to the time, doing previews of the Ulster Championship, Leinster, Connacht and Munster, of course, as well. And obviously I will be looking more into it to see like which counties will this benefit the most. I mean, I feel sorry for the likes of Donegal, Tyrone, Cork, Kerry. I mean, all these counties are going to have a huge game on their opening match. I mean, you look at Donegal, Tyrone, for example, probably in the top 6, top 7 counties in the country in Gaelic football, and one of those counties will not win a game in 2020 and will only play one game in their championship, which I find quite interesting as well. Another thing worth pointing out as well is that there will be no replays whatsoever. So the GAA have decided that there will be extra time, as there has been in the past, of course, and then there will also be penalties that will decide the GAA season. And I mean, it makes sense, of course. I mean, you're trying to very much condense all these fixtures very closely together. I mean, penalties, I don't know how I really feel about that one, to be honest. I mean, fair enough if it's in a Leinster game or it's, you know, not a massively important game, but the fact that you could have an All-Ireland final decided by penalties is bizarre. And to be honest, the way 2020 has gone and the fact that the All-Ireland football final will be a couple of days before Christmas, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if Dublin and Kerry met each other in the final and it was decided on penalties. It just would be bizarre, and considering how this year has gone, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising in any way whatsoever. So if you have a look here at what some pundits and fans have responded to this news in Gaelic football, so Pat Spillane, so basically what he was saying was that the GAA have missed a massive opportunity in running an open draw for the All-Ireland Football Championship. And I mean, I'd have to agree with him. I mean, he basically says here that the lost opportunity with this championship is that it should have been run on an open draw. And he said why? Because it gives novelty, it gives fairness, and that's the key thing. It allows time for a backdoor. You look at the provincial championship and you ask, is it fair? Kerry could get to an All-Ireland semi-final without ever playing a team from Division 1. Dublin possibly will get to an All-Ireland semi-final without playing a team from Division 1. Look at Ulster, where there's 4 teams from Division 1. Cavan would have to beat 3 teams from Division 1 to win an Ulster title. There's a missed opportunity. And I would have to agree with Pat Spillane in this statement in many ways. I mean, the GAA have definitely missed a massive opportunity in regards to this open draw format that they could have implemented into the GAA season in 2020. I mean, obviously, no one is saying to completely scrap the provincial championships altogether. But I think just given how crazy 2020 of a year has been, I mean, this is a massive opportunity for the GAA to try something different and to try something that a lot of pundits and fans have been calling for in the GAA in the past couple of years. I mean, this would be a chance to almost experiment, to try something a little bit different, and obviously go ahead with this open draw and open format structure. And yeah, in my opinion, I do believe that the GAA have certainly missed a massive trick, in my opinion. I mean, if we look at some of the tweets from fans, I mean, this fella here, Barry, was saying that great to have a championship to look forward to, but honestly, if there was ever a year for an open draw with a straight knockout, this was it. And absolutely, I mean, this was definitely the opportunity for the GAA to implement a straight knockout format. Of course, over on my Instagram and on my Facebook page, GAA Fan TV, I did actually upload a kind of like a sketch of a group stage knockout draw in a World Cup format. Now, I will make a separate video on this, discussing this in more detail in a couple of days, but I feel like this is something that the GAA could have adopted as well. Now, this is just a random group stage draw completely. Of course, the draw is more so just to show, you know, the structure of it rather than, of course, the seeding. And this would be just a massive opportunity for the GAA to really try do something different. I mean, each county in this case would have 3 games each. They'd be able to try something completely different. And, you know, even if the GAA did go with that straight knockout style format, it would have been a massive opportunity for a lot of the different counties. I mean, as we were saying there before, the fact that some counties in Ulster have to be 2, 3, 4 Division 1 teams, and whereas counties in Munster and Leinster, you know, only have to play Division 2 and Division 3 teams. So there definitely is a lot of, you know, inconsistency in terms of the draw. It certainly isn't balanced, it certainly isn't fair, and I do think it's something the GAA should look at in the future. And I do think, unfortunately, they have missed a massive trick here in regards to that open draw style format. Alright, so then what we'll do is we'll have a look here at the Leinster and Munster senior hurling draws for the 2020 championship. So this article was taken here from the 42, and it is an interesting draw, obviously, because in the Munster senior hurling championship you have the quarter-final, which is Limerick versus Clare, which will take place on the weekend of the 24th and 25th of October. You'll have the semi-finals, which will take place at the end of October and start of November. Cork versus Waterford and Tipperary, obviously playing the winner of Limerick and Clare. And then you'll have the final take place on the 14th to the 15th of November. In the Leinster Senior Hurling Championship, you have the quarterfinals there. Laois versus Dublin in the 24th, 25th of October. And then, of course, at the end of the month, you'll have your semi-finals. Galway versus Wexford. Kilkenny versus the winner of Laois versus Dublin. And then the final, of course, will take place on the same date, or the same weekend as, of course, the Munster Senior Hurling Championship. Now, obviously, there has been multiple reaction to this draw, and I suppose in particular, the most interesting thing for me is that Limerick, of course, who of course are the Munster Senior Hurling Championship winners from last year, they're actually going to have a harder route to defend their title than the likes of Cork or Waterford, for example, who of course play each other in the semi-finals. And I think a lot of people were saying most certainly that this draw definitely suits the likes of Cork and Waterford a lot better. They're avoiding, of course, the Munster Senior Hurling Championship winners from last year, and of course they're also avoiding the All-Ireland champions as well in Tipperary. Of course, until they reach a final, you'd have to feel that they will play either one of those or even Clare. So certainly interesting in in many ways that the way this draw has gone. I mean, obviously it is an open draw in terms of the provincial championships, and I do feel a bit bad for Limerick having such a difficult route to the final compared to some of the other counties. And I believe these thoughts were very much echoed by the ex-Limerick manager TJ Ryan. He was speaking on the Irish Examiner. And he basically went on to say that Cork and Waterford will definitely be the happier counties after the draw. They have a straight shootout over 70 minutes to get to a Munster final, whereas for the other three, it is very tricky. Certainly for Liam Cahill in his first year, it is a good opportunity for him. It is a one-off shootout and the prize is huge. A Munster final would be great progress for Waterford. And he also went on to say, obviously, that on the flip side of that, for Limerick and Clare, they have to win 3 very difficult games to win Munster. And even just to get to the Munster final, they'll have to overcome the All-Ireland champions. It is definitely lopsided. And, I mean, yeah, it is interesting, I suppose. You know, you're having Limerick, Clare, Tipperary, you know, maybe the 3 best teams in the Munster Championship in the past couple of years. You know, when you look at who's been reaching finals, who's been winning Munster Championships, and of course those 3 sides all on the one side of the draw, and it is a little bit unlucky, but I suppose that is just how it goes, unfortunately. And obviously if we have a look here at some other pundits and what they've been saying, so Donald O. Cusack has pretty much come out and said that he believes that wintry conditions will play into the hands of physical hurling teams. And he also went on to say that the likes of Kilkenny, Limerick, will all very much benefit, you know, the likes of Galway as well, will all very much benefit from, you know, these wintry and weather conditions. He said the odds are that conditions are going to be bad. Yes, fields are going to be good and are getting better, but I just think when I think of the Galways, Limerick, Kilkenny, I think it's definitely not going to be a disadvantage to those teams. So I think that's kind of pretty interesting as well. And I think, you know, maybe another point in relation to that, I suppose, in regards to, you know, wintry conditions, I think that is going to be interesting to see how the GAA tackles those kind of issues, because, you know, we can imagine certainly with the All-Ireland football final taking place on December 19th and the All-Ireland hurling final taking place on December 13th, there's going to be a chance that just maybe there might be some sort of a storm, or there might be very bad conditions. And, you know, obviously with a lot of the games taking place in November and October, there's the off chance that maybe a lot of games will get postponed. You know, we've seen that, of course, happen in January, February earlier this year, so there's no reason why that won't happen in October, November. And it will be interesting to see how the GAA counteract that. They have left, you know, a couple of spaces in between in case of that, of course, but it would just be interesting to see how the GAA would counteract that. I mean, could we end up having an All-Ireland final potentially on New Year's Eve? I mean, who knows? Or at the start of January? We'll have to wait and see what happens if something like that happens. I mean, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully everything goes ahead as planned. But I mean, who knows? That could be something that the GAA might have to deal with. And, you know, maybe it's something that not other people are talking about, and maybe it's something they haven't considered. I'm sure they have, but certainly, you know, the likes of wintry weather conditions in November and December needs to be under consideration, because, you know, there is the possibility that a lot of games will get postponed. Yeah, lads, very interesting, of course, to see a lot of the different reactions to this draw. Do let me know down in the comments below what you lads think. I think, in my opinion, to summarise, I feel like the GAA should have gone with an open draw, in my opinion. You know, I feel like with hurling, they've gone with the right option. Obviously, you can't have an open draw for hurling, but I do think with Gaelic football, there was a massive opportunity for the GAA to try something different, to do something a bit unique and different, and unfortunately they've missed the trick and they've gone with the old school format, unfortunately. And look, listen, it will be exciting to see what happens, but I do feel sorry for Donegal and Tyrone fans in many ways. You know, for whoever loses that game, you know, your championship is going to be over in one match. And I know in the old days that's how it worked, of course, but I mean, I feel like we've moved on from those times, and we should be looking towards a more better format, level playing field for all counties at least, where they can all play a similar amount of matches. But anyway, lads, that is going to be the end of the video. Do let me know down in the comments below. I will, of course, be making a video in the coming days talking about the open draw World Cup style format, so do let me know down in the comments below what you lads think of that. And yeah, lads, of course, have a lovely week, have a lovely Monday and Tuesday. Of course, my name is Aaron, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.